Thomas, Percy, and the Headless Horseman. It was Halloween on the island of Soho, and all the engines were finishing their jobs to get to the Fat Controller's fireworks display. They loved seeing the fireworks, and the children dressed up as witches, ghosts, etc. One evening at the shed, the engines were waiting for Edward to tell his evening ghost stories. When Edward arrived, he was telling the engines about an annual ghost story about a boy who got lost in the woods and was never found again. And so, every night, everyone searches for the little boy, but they never found him, said Edward. The engines liked the story, but Thomas didn't like it at all. Pa, that's not scary at all. I've seen way too many ghost stories. They're way scarier than that. What could be more scarier than that, Thomas? Asked Percy. Well, Percy, this is a story about an urban legend that I heard about the legend of Sleepy Hollow. Sleepy what? Asked James. Sleepy Hollow, James. And this is the story that Thomas told. Nearby an old town named Sleepy Hollow, there was a school teacher who was named Ichabod Crane. Ichabod Crane was a very famous dude. He had charming looks and everyone loved him. He was respectful and very helpful to all the mothers and their childs. But Ichabod had a good look at a girl named Katrina. Katrina was a very wonderful woman, and everyone was intrigued with her. But not anyone was more intrigued than Ichabod's enemy, Brom Bones. Bones was a cocky guy who always thought things rough about him, and he wanted Katrina all for himself. But he couldn't be the teacher of how his good looks and his charming ways. One night, Ichabod Crane and Brom Bones were invited to a party with Katrina's father was throwing a party for everybody. Ichabod and Katrina danced till the end of the night, but poor Brom Bones was all upset because he couldn't dance. He didn't even know how to. But what he did know was that Ichabod had a very easy fear of superstitions. So he made up a story about a legendary person named the Headless Horseman. He explained that the Headless Horseman had lost his head during the World War II, and every night he roamed Sleepy Hollow looking for his next head. He talked about how he faced him and raced him to the end of the bridge.
Once you cross that bridge, my friends, the ghost is through. His power ends.
The party was soon over, and everyone went home. Poor Ichabod Crane was so scared. He was looking everywhere to make sure he was safe in the woods. He thought he could hear footsteps and evil laughter. That was just its imagination, he thought. But it wasn't. Right there was the Headless Horseman. Ichabod Crane and his horse would gallop around through the woods. Ichabod saw the bridge and remembered what Brom Bones told him. He begged his horse to go faster. He made it across, but the Headless Horseman wasn't finished with him. He threw his hunky hand straight at poor Ichabod. By the next day, no one found Ichabod Crane, but just his hat and a shattered pumpkin. Brom Bones and Katrina soon married, but everyone presumed that Ichabod had left the town. But everyone else thought that his spirit has been taken away by the Headless Horseman. And that is the last that anyone saw of Ichabod Crane. The ancients were shocked. Percy was scared. That was a scary story, Thomas. Did anyone ever found Ichabod Crane? Nope. Everyone still presumes he's dead and that he got killed by the Headless Horseman. But legend has it that every Halloween night, the Headless Horseman roams around looking for his next victim. Now that was a scary story, said James. I mean, it was good. I really liked it, said Edward. Ha! There's no such thing as a Headless Horseman, said Gordon. Now go to sleep, he said. He was very grumpy tonight. The other ninjas went to sleep, but Thomas whispered to Percy, "Careful with the Headless Horseman tonight, Percy, because he will come and take your whole head." "Stop it, Thomas," said Percy, but he was secretly scared. That night, Percy was taking the mail train, but he was still nervous about Thomas's story. "There's no such thing as a Headless Horseman. There's no such thing as a Headless Horseman. There's no such thing as a Headless Horseman," said Percy. All night long, he was thinking about the Headless Horseman until the next day. The next day, he was shunting with Doug at the harbor, but he was very careless and accidentally he shunted some trucks really hard, bumping into Murdoch. "Boy, Percy! You got to be careful next time," said Murdoch. "Oh, sorry, Murdoch." Doug was concerned for his friend. "What's wrong, Percy? You've never been this tired before at the harbor." "It's Thomas," he said, and told Doug all about the Headless Horseman. "Oh, Percy, Thomas is just trying to scare you. You know how he is. Every year he does this to you, and you just keep believing him. There's no such thing as a Headless Horseman." Later that evening, Thomas was called by the Fat Controller to the docks. "I have a very important job for you, Thomas. You must take this statue to the Solar Fairground this evening." Thomas was surprised. It was a statue of the Headless Horseman. This will make a very good scare for Percy. Then an idea flew into his funnel. "Oh, this is gonna be good." Thomas soon coupled gently towards the flatbed and set off to make his delivery. Percy had just made a delivery to a Marin station and was just about to leave when... There he is, this is gonna be good. It's the Headless Horseman! Hell, I'm not gonna open my eyes until the next day comes. "Come on, Percy, let's get going." "No, I want to stay here, please." And he stayed. The next day, Percy arrived at the station near the fairgrounds when all of a sudden he saw it. "Ah! The Headless Horseman! Run!" Thomas and Emily just looked at him, and Thomas soon started laughing. "You thought that was really the Headless Horseman?" Scared the engine and set off. Percy was upset and cross at the same time. "It was Thomas! Why, that little..." Emily, who was nearby at the conversation, was upset with Thomas and felt bad for the little engine. She met up with Thomas Elsbridge and was stern to him. "That wasn't funny, Thomas. You can't scare Percy like that. You know how he is." "Oh, Emily, you are so overdramatic. Over a little prank? There's nothing wrong with having a little fun," he said. Emily was upset. "How can you be this cruel to your best friend? I don't know how he can consider you his best friend." But Percy had other ideas. Later that night at the fairground, he asked the owner if he could use the statue for a minute. The owner let him with permission, and he set off. What was Percy thinking about? At the old harbor where Thomas, Percy, and Toby take their stone and passengers to the seaside, Thomas was shunting a few trucks when all of a sudden Hello? Who's there? James, I swear if it's you again, I'm going to... James? Toby, is that you? Duck? Anyone? Uh-oh. It's the Headless Horseman! It's coming towards me! Thomas had crashed near the ocean buffers, and Percy's statue had fallen over. Thomas was cross. So it was you! Why, you little... What is all that noise? Said the harbor master. Thomas and Percy were in trouble. As a punishment for their actions, Thomas and Percy were sent to shun the Naffer. The other inches still teased the two tank inches about it. Thomas and Percy don't believe in the Headless Horseman anymore. They know now that it's a silly old story.